How's it going YouTube? Once again, welcome back to Pokemon TCG Center. In today's video, I'm actually gonna show you the deck list, the exact same deck list that I used yesterday at my local league, and I actually managed to score 4 victories without defeats and managed to win that local league. So yeah, the game number 1 I played against Speed Darkrai, and it was the expanded format. And I managed to beat that deck. I lost the first game, but then I won the second and the third game. Then I played in round number 2 versus the Vileplume and Lurantis deck. Also managed to beat easily that deck. And then game number 3 was against Yveltal Darkrai. It was against actually Yveltal and Maxis Galate featuring, I think it was Archeops? Yeah, it was Archeops, but unfortunately for my opponent, he was not able to set up that Archeops turn 1. Later, he tries to play 3 times in a row, you know, Hex Maniac, but with Yveltal striking against something like the Decidueye who's 240 HP, it's not that easy. It's not that easy, especially when you can just counter that Yveltal with your Aura Ball for so many damage counters with the Lugia. Under the item lock, pretty much none of the decks can function well as well. And the final round, the round number 4, I played against Mega Gardevoir, also managed to win. To be honest, the first 3 games was so pretty easy. The deck was so consistent, but in the game number 4, I had a lot of problems trying to get some of the important cards in play, but at the end I managed to win. And yeah, get the first place. Also need to notice that I didn't build this deck with a lot of attention. Basically, I built this deck with like 15 minutes because I was in a hurry, and I was like, well, I don't have too much time. I think I had actually 30 minutes after I wake up to take a shower, eat lunch, and basically build a deck. So yeah, the deck was built in like 15 minutes. So I also forget, it was the expanded format. I completely forget to tag some important cards in this deck, and as well I also forget to tag something like a computer search. I didn't even put Ace back inside, but still managed to win all 4 rounds. So I was running 2 copies of Lugia EX as the, you know, I mean, Lugia EX, pretty damn good card with the Aura Ball and Deep Hurricane. Since you're running double Course energies, you can just strike for 20 times the number of energy attached to both Pokemons in play. So yeah, Lugia was a very sweet card in this build. Then of course 4 copies of Rowlet, no doubt about it. 4 copies of Rowlet, so you can actually have 4/4/4 line of the CGI. That's also very important in this build because you really want to get the CGIs in play as fast as you can. So yeah, that was pretty much 4/4/4 line of the Rowlet, Dartrix, and guess who? The CGI. I mean, Feather Arrow, once per turn, you can just simply spread 2 damage counters to one of your opponent Pokemon in play. And most of the time, I managed to have 2 to 3 CGIs turn 1 in play. And when you go first, and on your turn 1, when you can put 2 CGIs in play with Lugia with a double Course energy, you're just ready to go. And of course, since this was the deck mainly based around the CGI, I didn't have a lot of time to test this deck because I didn't even have a lot of time to publish some of the new videos on my channel yesterday. So yeah, I also just played 2 copies of Oddish, 2 copies of Glum, and 2 copies of Vileplume, so I can have that irritating pollen in play and basically shut down my opponent item card options. And of course 2 Shaymin's EX for the setup. If you wonder why I'm running 2 World Championship Shaymins, that's the main reason, because we don't have official Pokemon organized play, so we can use those World Championship cards. But of course, I have in my collection a couple of Shaymin EX originals, just in case if somebody cares about that. For me, it's just pretty much the same. So yeah, the supporter line, I was running 3 copies of Professor Sycamores, discard a hand draw of 7 cards. Then I also goes with 3 copies of N. Most of the time, it was more than enough. it was more than enough most of the time. And of course, since this was the expanded format, I decided to take 2 copies of AZs because, you know, I thought myself, well, once my opponent can actually strike for like 200 damage counters down to my Decidueye, I can simply play AZ and put it back to my hand and prevent him from taking 2 prize cards. The same thing can be applied for the Vileplume, just in case if I need to play some item cards, or if I stuck with the Vileplume in the active position. But on the other side, with the AZ card around, you can simply put your Decidueye in play Feather Arrow for 2, play AZ, put your Decidueye back into your hand, and then put it back into play if you have Forest of Giant Plants, of course, and then strike again with 2 damage counters from the Feather Arrows. So yeah, pretty damn good. Same as 2 copies of Lysanders, of course. Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, I didn't have too much time to build and practice this deck. I mean, I don't even need to practice it. I know how it works in theory. So, yeah, 4 copies of Forest of Giant Plants must have for a deck like this, because you really want to win Stadium War, and the most importantly, if you can't win Stadium War, and if you can't have Forest of Giant Plants every turn in play, just in case if you need to build up your evolution lines, you're gonna be definitely in big problem. Then I also had 3 copies of Trainer's Mails, as you can see right here. Actually, Trainer's Mails serves me well. I cannot complain against them. So yeah, pretty much 3 copies of Trainer's Mails. Let me just move a little bit, blame it right here so you can see them on the right. Also, I ran 2 copies of Flowstones. You know, yeah, I mean, you really don't want to be Lysander with your Vileplume without a Flowstone. Since it's in the expanded format, probably a lot of people should say, dude, you really don't need Flowstones. I do agree with that, because you can simply play AZ, but yeah, I mean, AZ is supporter line, it's supporter waste per turn, so if you just can't maybe find a Flowstone or option to retreat your Oddish in the early game, if you start with the Oddish, you might be in a problem. But trust me, if you can find 2 Flowstones, one on the Vileplume, one on the CGI, you can simply, you know, switch between those 2. If you can't set up your attacker to go, if you miss your energy cards, you can simply put the CGI with 240 HP in a Flowstone in the active position, leave him for a few turns, strike with the Feather Arrows, and then simply retreat for free and surprise your opponent from nowhere with Lugia, Deep Hurricane, Arrow Ball, or maybe even a Razor Leaf. 4 copies of Battle Compressors, of course. I mean, not sure what to tell about Battle Compressors. Since I'm also running Gravital Lasers, Battle Compressor have a lot of sense in this build, because simply with the Battle Compressor, you can discard up to 3 cards from your deck into your discard pile, which means you can also discard Oddish, Gloom, Vileplume line, and then simply you can pick them with the Gravital Laser. It's the expanded format, it's the CGI deck, and you really don't want to discard so many cards with the Battle Compressor. I personally also think that you don't even need to have 4 Battle Compressors in this build. In my opinion, is just a waste of time running 4 copies of Battle Compressor. Personally, I think how maybe 4 level balls, 4 ultra balls might be better, and just running 2 copies of Battle Compressors, and maybe also even maxing out those Trainer's Mails for the better consistency. But then on the other side, as I mentioned, I didn't have a lot of time. Also, once you can set up your Vileplume in play, and Vileplume should be the highest priority for you, then you can simply just, you know, play more AZs. I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say about it, because I only had 2 copies of Gravital Lasers in this build, and with 4 Battle Compressors, I don't know, I find myself hard to get the grass Pokemons from my discard pile back to my hand with those Battle Compressors. But there's a bright side of the 4 Battle Compressors in this build, because you can simply discard so many different cards from your hand to your discard pile, like a Lysander, like a double Lysander, like grass Pokemons, and you can just pick them up with the Gravital Laser. But on the other side, you can use only 1 GX attack per turn, and you can use just simply that Hall of Hunt GX and put 3 cards from your discard pile back to your hand, turn 1, for example, if you start second. Easily. So there's a reason why Battle Compressors are so huge and so good but still on the other side, I feel how even 2 battle compressors might be enough with, for example, maybe even 4 Levitar Razors, 4 Ultra Balls or something like that. And of course, in addition to that, I had 2 level balls, search a deck for 90 HP or less Pokemon. Of course, 4 Ultra Balls, so they allows me to search my deck for any Pokemon. Yeah, I can search my deck for any Pokemon with them. And of course, 3 Grass Energies. I'm not